What's up, guys? Welcome to today's video where we're going to do a full overview walkthrough of the Old Town Autopilot 136. All right, guys, so one of the things that I promised y'all I was going to do on this channel this year is to do boat overviews and reviews of as many popular fishing kayaks as I can. One of the most requested boats when I did the call out was the Old Town Sportsman Autopilot 120 and 136. But I tried to buy one of them and they're literally sold out everywhere. Not only are they sold out, but we called the folks at Johnson Outdoors, the parent company of Old Town, and they're probably sold out till June or July at the earliest. So I called up my good buddy, Anthony Winkleman, who is on the Old Town pro staff, who happened to have the boat that we wanted to do a review of. Anthony qualified for the DZ KBF to 10 this year, and he lives in Kentucky. We're fishing Kentucky Lake, so it all just kind of worked out. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna turn it over to Anthony, let him give you a walkthrough of his Autopilot, how he's got it set up, why he's got it set up, let him show you how to install and remove the drive unit, and kind of how he's got his boat rigged up. Then we're gonna take it out on the water. He's gonna walk us through what he loves about the boat, if there's anything he doesn't like about the boat, you know, all of those things. And then I'm gonna give you kind of my review, preview, overview, recap at the end, what I call the pros and the nos. So I'm gonna turn it over to Anthony, let him tell you about the boat, how he's got it set up, the way he's got it set up, and why. And then I'll see you guys at the end of the video.
What's going on, guys? Anthony Winkleman here with Old Town Johnson Outdoors with my Autopilot 136. Got the Minn Kota power drive iPilot. Got the spot lock feature and all that. I just want to do a quick run through of everything I do for the setup, how I run this puppy and get it on the water, get it going and fish my tournaments. Just starting from the nose forward. Got my Rogue Fishing Co. You can't go wrong with this sucker. This thing, if you need a drag or you just need to pull it up on your trailer, pull it up on the bank, this is a tough son of a gun right here. It'll get the job done. Moving on down, you got a nice little dry hatch here, mainly for accessing the wiring and run your depth finder, but you know, you can store a few small things in it. Going down from there, here's the piece of resistance already, is the motor itself. It's a 45-pound thrust. It's got the spot lock feature, it's got a jog feature if you get the puck, and you can, you know, I recommend powering this thing with a 100-amp lithium battery because you don't want to be out in the water and die. It's got a kill switch in case you hit stumps. That's one of the biggest questions, is what if you hit something while you're going? Well, I have hit plenty. I've been down to Lake Fork and other different lakes and hit plenty, and it has a feature where if it jumps up, kill switch goes off, motor kills, and it won't kick back on until you start it back up. So that's always a plus feature. It's an easy install, taken in and out of the boat. Some people I've seen leave it in. I personally don't prefer to do that because of my luck. It's quick and easy. You have a power switch, power cable that plugs in, adapter, 2-prong. You got a quick, this is what lowers and raises it. And all you gotta do, slip this forward, it comes back, pick it up. Okay, it's got a handle right there in the middle if you want to grab it by it. It's up to you how you want to carry it. And then to put it back in, you just put it down in that slot, raise it up there, plug it in. And one of the biggest things I always forget to do is putting this back on or putting it on. But simple as that. Got a cable over here that you pull that deploys it into the water, and quick and simple and easy change out of the prop as well if you have issues there. Moving on down, I keep my catch board up here. I like to probably move it to the back, but this is easy and convenience. Of course, again, my Rogue Fishing Company, I got a little tether there that holds that on, so that way, if in case anything ever happened, rolled or flipped, I'm not gonna lose my catch board on the water. I'm gonna be able to stay tournament fishing as long as I get my rods back from the water. Moving down from there, I got a Helix 7. It's got the MDI, SI, GPS sonar. It gets the job done. You know, I'm not a huge video game fisherman, but you know, as long as I get my water depth, temperatures, and things like that, and I know where I'm going, we're good to go. Nice thing, one thing about the Autopilot that people don't really know, say you're out on the water and you hit a stump and it happens to catch your prop, doesn't kill your prop, but it breaks that pin. There's another kill switch right here. And now this is primarily for your PFD for you to strap on. And this little kill switch right in the middle here has a spare pin. And so that way you get 2 spare pins. You'll get one in a tackle box that they'll send you. And then you have this one here for on the water in case something happens. If you break that one there, hope you got your second backup one in that little tackle box. You got plenty of storage compartments. I primarily use these for soft plastics. Don't leave stuff in here and drive around. It will fly out, it will fall off. You got your rudder steering cables for your foot controls or your foot pedals, so that way you can keep the nose of the motor going straight and you can control it just simply with the rudder, and it's very smooth. Maybe a little tight when you first get it, but it breaks in easily. Got 2 rod holders in the front and I got 2 rod holders in the back. I'll definitely be showing you guys how I measure fish as well while we're out on the water with this thing, because you can lay it flat. Some people, I don't prefer to lay it flat on the bottom and take the chance of possibly falling over, especially on a windy day. Moving on from there, got a great seat. One thing I recommend is if you're gonna travel, you can leave the seat on. You got a front strap, a back strap, and then I always pull this down tight. So that way whenever I go places, a little tighter than that, that way when I go places, it stays down. Quick and easy to pull back up, just like that. From there, this is where your battery will go. Like I said, I recommend the 100 amp hour. It's very simple. You're not gonna die on the water. I've had it happen, but that's because we went somewhere around 15 miles, and it doesn't matter which battery brand you get, Dakota, Amped, any of them, it'll run, it'll go forever. Very simple install and uninstall. Another just simple port, plug in and out. You can get access to it. It's actually got a little, I think this is a little reset. It's got a breaker box inside of it. So if a power surge was to happen, it'll kick that, it won't kill your electronics. I do not recommend running your electronics, your fish finders and your other power supplies from this battery in case something was to happen. I run a Juice Box 12.5. It's a little lithium power pack. And one thing, a big thing people are always talking about with this is putting a battery, what battery to get to run your electronics, to run your navigation lights, or just any lights in general, because this hatch is not the biggest, and putting a 23 amp hour battery or bigger, it can be a little bit of a hassle. This thing is small, it's compact, you plug it in there, you push that button, you're good to go. I've thought about personally externally wiring it so that way it sits in this nice little cubby, because I also got USB ports that I can use, and that would become very handy when it comes to charging our electronics like my cell phone and things like that while I'm on the water. Puts it back down in there, it'll stay. Now I don't recommend leaving your battery in there because there's not the best holder in there, and your battery will shift around the boat had that happen. And I've had to go digging for it. So putting that all back, moving further down, like I said, you have two back rod holders. I'll put my net here for getting on the water. You have such a huge front, massive area. I'll take my net and deploy it and leave it up there. I run a black pack here I got all these rods rigged up on it. I got my safety flag. Have a huge cargo space. This is one of the, I've had other watercrafts, and this is one of the biggest ones that I've seen or been around. I know a few other brands have some really big cargo spaces, but this is a very large space. I have terminal tackle box. I keep very minimal plastics with me, only what I use best as possible. Cooler. I mean, all my cranks, everything I use, jigs, top waters, everything go in this box just fine, and it keeps a light load, keeps it easy. I got plenty of track system to mount other attachments, any Yak Attack products or anything like that. Of course, I got the Tacticam up here with my Yak Attack boomstick here, and of course I got a Yeti cooler in the back. Simple rod deployment. You have a handle up further that I didn't get to that it just simply deploys. Now make sure, one issue is and this is kind of a big one, people will do this here, forget to deploy it before they get on the water. Always make sure that's up. If you go and leave it like that, and you go and try to deploy that handle, good chance you may break your handle. So put it like that before you get on the water. Make sure the rudder's straight after you've deployed it to bring it back in at the end of the day, because that way if it's sideways, you'll break the handle that way as well. I got the power pole micro anchor on the back, and of course the remote control is always on my PFD. PFD is always on. And of course we got a nice little rod holder over here on the side, on the right-hand side here, and always keep a paddle with you, because if your battery does go dead, you don't want to be paddling this thing back without a paddle, because good luck doing that. You're going to be push pulling with your power pole, I guess. But that's really about it. You got a nice little scrapper hole in the back, but this thing I've yet to have a drop of water get inside of it, and it's solid. I really enjoy it. It's very light. I know it comes in at less than 100 pounds unloaded without the battery and without the motor, and just over 100 pounds with the motor on it. And of course I haven't weighed it fully rigged, but that's really my rig, guys, and I hope you like the walkthrough. And any other questions, feel free to reach out and I can give you tips and tricks in what I do.
All right, guys, so before we go any further, leave your comments in the comment section below for any questions you might have about the boat, and I'll get Anthony to come over to the channel and engage in the comment section. Now, you're gonna have initial impressions just like I did, so let me go through some of my initial impressions and some of the questions, and since I have a pro here, it makes it that much easier to get those questions answered. So you talked about steering with your feet, okay? But then there's also a rudder handle over here on the left-hand side. So talk to us about how the rudder steering works. Is that steered with your feet, or the rudder handle, or both? How does that work?
It is only the feet itself.
Okay, so what is the rudder handle?
Rudder handle is literally just to deploy and bringing it back in.
Okay, so it's a lot easier than you're actually hands-free steering.
You're hands-free steering, which is huge for as an angler. I mean, you know, I've had a Hobie, I've had other brands that, you know, or I've been in other brands that's had hand steering. And if you're cranking, or if you need a flip or anything like that, you can't steer while you're trying to stand and maybe bedfish or flip into structure or something like that. So hands-free, I can stand up and use my foot and put it against the pedal and stay straight on course, keep on going.
All right, so guys, let's go back to the front. Let me kind of give you my walkthrough, and I'm gonna keep Anthony kind of right there in case I stumble or I have any questions. When this boat first came out, one of my biggest concerns was if you have a midship or forward in-hull mounted propulsion, if you run into something, is it going to damage the prop? Are you not going to have a kick-up feature? And is that going to be a problem? Because I run mostly a stern-mounted motor, as most of you guys already know. But what I love about this system, because I asked this question, he had an immediate answer, and then I went and watched a couple of YouTube videos about it, and it's like right there, it's obvious. When you put the motor down, this switch engages. If you hit something, there's a kick-up feature, it kicks up and the motor immediately shuts off. So I'm a big fan of, and actually require it for kayak bass fishing tournaments, that you have a manufacturer's installed dead man switch or kill switch or safety switch. It's also awesome to see that not only do they have that feature, but somehow if you happen to be running it and you fall out of the boat, that there's a double kill switch option. And for safety's sake, always attach that thing, guys. If you're fishing from a kayak, the last thing you want is to fall out of your boat. You had this just tied off so that you can't have it attached to your PFD and your boat drives away while you're swimming trying to catch up to it, because that actually happens in, you know, big boats a lot. And so make sure that you wear your kill switch. Love how he's got the depth finder, easy to use. One of the initial impressions I had in this boat when I jumped in it at ICAST or some demo day is when you have a powered boat, this deeper cockpit is kind of awesome, because in a powered boat, you're going to be punching into waves. And if you've got this much weight forward, you don't want low gunnels, because you're going to constantly be getting water lapping into the boat. So kudos to the folks at Johnson Outdoors for sorting that out. I really like the simplicity of the traction pads. I like how it covers the whole cockpit. I like the excess scuppers. Now, let me tell you why that's important. As a guy who's been involved in and helped and oversaw a lot of kayak design, scuppers add stiffness. So when you've got this many scuppers in your cockpit, and especially for a big dude like me, probably not a problem for Anthony, but when you're walking around on that deck, you get rid of a lot of the flex, and the more scuppers you have, if you do take a wave over, the faster that water is going to vacate. So literally big thumbs up to the folks at Johnson Outdoors for that. I also love these little cubby holes and side storage. I love how your tools are right there and easily accessible. And I love the fact that they have a powered boat that has foot control steering and the ability to use your rudder to pull double duty. You can use your rudder when you're not paddling, which is one thing I don't have with my rear mounted motor. So it's kind of the best of both worlds. I also like the fact that this boat's got a nice piercing bow with a little bit of sweep to it. So when it hits waves, it kind of defers the water out. Love these forward flush mount rod holders. I've had a little bit of fishing envy when I've seen guys stand up and they catch a fish and they just drop it in there, or if they're tying a lure on, they just got that deal right there. The seat's wide, which is a big deal for bigger dudes like me, or if you're anywhere close, and it's also super comfortable even if you're not a big angler. I like this access port that they've got right here for reaching on the inside. You got front, you got midship, and you've got stern access for pretty much inside the boat. Little cubby hole box right there, but you can literally cut a hole in the side of that and you can install switches. I've seen guys literally put light switches on the inside of that panel, and they've got the ability to control the whole boat from right there at their seat. Now, you can also put the switches on the top, but again, I saw a buddy of mine who rigged them on the inside. That way they're clean, you don't inadvertently hit them. I like how this seat folds forward. Love this little cargo area right here between your black pack and the back of your seat, which makes really good use of dead space. Love the flush mount rod holders. I've got to actually get back into using those. I've kind of gone a few years without using flush mount rod holders and anchor trolleys, which is weird because I used them for almost 2 decades, you know, without fail. One of the things that I would probably do different rigging this boat is instead of putting the power box on the inside or the juice box, I use the Dakota Lithium power box. I would probably put it sideways right there so that, like Anthony talked about, I could plug in my camera so it would run all day. I could plug in my cell phone. If you're a tournament fisherman and you don't carry an external source for powering your phone, you're wrong. I hate to say that, but I have so many anglers that phone dies during the tournament. I'm like, how have you invested that much money, time, effort, and energy, and you don't have a backup way to charge your phone? So invest in some type of power source. And I'm going to not only agree, but I'm going to emphatically agree. I'm going to knock on the kayak. I'm going to stomp my foot and say, do not rig your primary propulsion source and your auxiliary wiring, auxiliary lights, your other stuff to the same battery. Have a accessory battery and have a propulsion battery. Love the fact that this cockpit is super wide, so you can even use a black pack sideways. I love the fact that you've got room for behind that. I have to kind of cram some of this stuff into most of the boats that I fish out of. Love the fact that you can put the power pole on either side. It's nice and clean. And guys, here's one other thing that you kind of have to back up. So I'm gonna get the camera back a little bit so you can see what I'm talking about here. So Matt, if you could kind of step back a little bit. Here's what I also love about this boat. Most of your seats in fishing kayaks are further back in the boat. So if you're a bigger angler or if you're trying to propel that boat with a motor, you end up with your CG being aft, which floods the back of the boat, and you don't get to plane the boat as easily. So what I love about this boat is they actually move the seat frame forward, which gives you more volume behind you, which is going to help you if you put a motor on the back to keep the back end from getting sucked down as you push the motor. And it helps balance the boat out when you've got some of that weight at the front, but it allows you to run your lithium battery. And if you can't afford a lithium battery, if you don't want to opt for one, if you put a lead acid behind you, it's going to put the angler weight a little further forward. And they got rid of a bunch of stuff up here other than the motor, so you still have ample cockpit. What I've always hated about forward mounting motors or midship motors, and even pedal drives to a certain extent, is they just eat up my cockpit and my ability to rig the boat. So again, I'm going to keep working on trying to get one of these for myself to get out there and do the full overview. In fact, I might twist his arm to jump in it for a little while at the end of the day. But we're gonna head out on the water, get some on the water impressions. You get to see this guy with this boat in action and how he seamlessly the boat's intuitive. It's just part of him. I love the ability to steer. I watch guys that fish at this thing standing up that'll kick one foot over with their calf or their shin to hold that rudder in place, and it makes them do a tighter circle. Anyway, this thing is literally one of the coolest boats on the market right now. Again, kudos to the folks at Johnson Outdoors for a great layout, well thought out, everything you need and not a lot of stuff that you don't. So we have a tendency in this game right now to overdo it, and I think they did the right amount to do it. So what do you say we get this thing on the water and you give us the on the water?
Sounds great.
All right, thanks, man.
Sounds great.
Appreciate it.
Going on, guys? Anthony Winkleman out here on the Autopilot 136, and just want to kind of go over a few things that I really enjoy out here on the water. As you can see, it's a pretty breezy day. The biggest thing, and it's been a must, it's been a phenomenal hands down factor, is the spot lock trolling motor with this iPilot from Minn Kota that they put on this thing. It can handle just about any bad situation almost I've been in. I've been able to just plow through and just keep on going with it. Holds me in place when I need it to, and it's kind of came in key to today, you know, being on the water, fish some mistake beds, these winds pick up, or fishing around a dock, you know, I can lock it down if I felt like I had a bite, and we've stayed in place, and I've been able to make exact casts where I needed to. You know, the next big part that goes along with that is also almost being hands-free. You have the rudder steering, so you can continuously just kind of put that motor north or just straight, and just, you know, use your feet and steer with the rudder in the back. It's very simple, and luckily it's adjustable, so it doesn't matter what the height you are, you're more than likely going to be able to fit if you have long legs or anything like that. So that's been another big feature. The only other part, you know, the only thing you really have to worry about doing that's not hands-free is adjusting speed, hitting spot lock, but you kind of get quick with that. Some people kind of, you know, one thing I probably would say is maybe a little bit more comfortable tether that goes around your neck if you wore it this way. I know some people put it around, there's a little bungee strap here, they'll put it underneath that and just kind of use it with their hands that way. I kind of fish some close to the bank, so I kind of got to adjust a lot, so I keep it handy with me, and especially on a windy day like this, you want it to be handy. You know, moving on there, you know, of course I run this Hummingbird unit on here, and where the transducer's mounted right in front of the trolling motor, right at the back, you know, the bow of the boat. And I mean, you can sit, whenever you're rolling over something, you can sit there and spot lock on it, or you can move past it, you can hit it. I mean, it graphs great, and you know, really not much you can really complain about with that. And it already comes pre-set up for a power pole mount, so there's no drilling. So if you got a micro anchor, you can put that on the back. Really simple. It takes less than 5 minutes to do. And then you know, of course, I love these front rod holders. I love the rear rod holders. You got 4 of them to work with, and it comes great when it comes to measuring fish, because you know, your catch board can lay perfectly across here. I put a net down, keeps the fish from losing it. I mean, I had one today that flopped off the board. If that net wasn't there, I don't know if it would have went back in the water, but there's a lot higher percentage chance of that. You know, of course, all the scruppers on a windy day like today, the water was just kind of pouring in, and you know, they just flushes right down in these scrupper holes. The strength, the amount of space I have, I can walk all the way up there, I can walk all the way back here. It's been excellent. Going from there, I mean, the seat's really comfortable for, you know, I really didn't expect it to be that comfortable, but the seat's actually a lot more comfortable than I thought it was going to be. I've had a few seats that are kind of like this, and they kind of have worn out quickly, and this one hasn't yet, luckily. So again, I recommend getting the 100 amp battery, lithium, so that way you can stay lighter, you can cover more distance as well. You're not having as much drag, and always go with that 100 amp, because you don't want to die out on the water, especially if you're on a day like today and you're spot locked down, using that motor a lot more than you even know that it's doing. And you know, really that's I mean, that's really about it. I don't really have any dislikes. You know, there's not, the only probably thing I wish was on this boat would be a little more hull access. Like I said, you have this front one and you have this one here, but there's nothing for the rear. You can't really access anywhere in the middle here. So, you know, maybe a little bit more hatch access to get inside the hull to do a few more things, maybe some more storage internally. But all in all, you got so much deck space. That's not a big deal. You can work with it. You know, it's not a deal breaker at all when it comes to getting this kayak. But yeah, other than that, that's just about it.
All right, guys, so that's gonna do it for the Old Town Autopilot 136 in their Sportsman series. If you like these kind of videos and you want to see more boat review, overview, whatever you want to call it, do me a favor, leave a comment in the comment section. If you like this kind of content, smash that subscribe button, hit that thumbs up button. It takes a little bit of effort on your part, means a whole lot to me and the growth of this channel. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Oh yeah, one more thing. Y'all light up the comment section with what boat you want to see me do next, right? If I haven't done it and you keep commenting and I'm missing it, light up that comment section with what kayak should I do next? Well guys, I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, do me a favor and help support the channel by downloading the Fishing Chaos app now so you can get in on the action.